I could say it's such a happy spring out there, but winter is being relentless and will not give up. So I think March is going to go out like a lion, but hopefully we have spring in our thoughts. So welcome to the March 19th regular town board meeting. At this time, I would like to ask you to join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Councilwoman Esley.
Present.
Councilman Marasco. Here. Councilman Perdicone.
Here.
Councilwoman Skrobak.
Here.
Supervisor DeRizio.
Here.
And attorney for the town.
Here.
Thank you.
And our first presentation this evening is by the Saints and Sinners presenting to their donation to DARE.
I won't tell you if I'm a saint or a sinner.
You don't have to.
Thank you.
Gotta go in there.
Okay. It's a pleasure to be back again. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Tony Sortino. I'm past president and member of the board of directors of Saints and Sinners. But before you say what are Saints and Sinners, just a brief background. Our present organization goes back nationally. It was Circus Saints and Sinners of America, a national organization officially established in New York in 1924. And the purpose was to provide aid to old indigenous circus performers. Some of us can fit that definition now. As this circus industry, as the circus evolved, they start unions. There were unions that did good things and they had benefits, and they said, okay, we have all this effort, now let's turn it to charity. And charity at that level had to be nationwide. Other clubs followed. And our club here was originally known as a tent of the Tom Thumb tent of Circus Saints and Sinners. And that was named after the great performer, midget Tom Thumb, performed for P.T. Barnum in 1842. Isn't that interesting? As the tent and the national, we donated to national events. Then we decided, let's talk about what's a saint. A saint represented those who actively worked under the big top. The sinners represented those who never had the courage to join the circus. In 2005, our board of directors decided that let's stay local so we can donate local. And then we changed our name to Saints and Sinners, and here we are today. Since our inception, we have donated over $750,000 to local charities in Rochester and the area. And that happens with people that help us. And we raise money a couple ways. Our biggest one is in October, we have a roast honoring somebody local. Last time we had it at the Convention Center downtown. We had 300 people, and this allows us to raise money so that we can donate it to good causes. DARE. Do we know what that means? Drug Awareness, Rehabilitation, and Education. And this town has the best DARE program in all of the county and probably the state. And that's why I was able to get some money again. Over the years, we have donated, probably several $1,000s to DARE. Things have been tough, and now we're very proud to make a presentation of $500 to an organization that's absolutely great. Chief? Oh,
Thank you so much.
no words?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't sure you were done.
I'm not done yet.
Oh, okay. Well, I want to thank you for this check for $500, and we will put it to good use, both in the DARE program and in some educational programs that we have recently started. And without this money, we can't do some of these things. So we really appreciate all the support you've given us over the years. It's been just great. And Officer Whitaker here is our new community service officer. He's also a DARE officer, and he sees how well and the good use that this money is put to use. You want to say anything?
Just to echo what the chief says, I've been teaching DARE for the last 7 years, and I believe in the program. It's been a very successful program. You know, it allows the officers to get into the schools and talk to the kids about making wise and healthy choices. And without these donations, we would not be able to do that. So thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Another good thing about our DARE, they start earlier than high school, right at the beginning, so you have hopefully eager minds that'll listen. To give you an idea who we donate to, just a few of them: Advent House, Cooley's Anemia, Cure Childhood Cancer Association, Gilda's Club of Rochester Cancer Action, Gelisano's Hospital, Huntington Disease, Rondequoit Community Covered, Lifespan of Rochester, Monroe County Special Olympics, School of the Holy Childhood, Stepping Stones Learning Center, and the YMCA. There's a lot more, but I won't go through with them. It's a pleasure to bring the money to such a great organization, as they do a lot for the community.
Okay, thank you, Tony. Stephanie Switcherini? Ooh, shock. Thank you, Madam Supervisor. My name is Stephanie Squitrini, and I'm the president of the Irondequoit Library Board of Trustees. And on behalf of the Library Board of Trustees, I'm here to report on the process we've been taking leading up to the referendum vote on April 23rd. On this date, residents will vote on the proposal to build a new centralized library on the Town Hall campus. We as a board have been working very hard to make sure that residents have all the information they need to cast their votes. In addition to the 3 public information forums we have already held, we have met with several community groups and civic organizations, including the Arts Council, Chamber of Commerce, Kiwanis, Knights of Columbus, Lions Club, Rotary, the Young at Heart, West Irondequoit PTA, Women's Irondequoit Network, and 3 politics and government classes at Eastridge High School. Thank you to all of these organizations and groups for giving us the time to meet with them and for their thoughtful questions and feedback. To date, the library proposal has received written endorsements from the Nightstick Club of Irondequoit Police Department, the Lions Club, and the Chamber of Commerce. We have received verbal endorsements from other groups, but I won't be able to report on them until they submit them formally. This Thursday, we will meet with a group of seniors at Pine Grove, and we have 2 additional public information forums scheduled, both here in the Broderick Room. Tuesday, March 26th at 10:30, and Wednesday, April 10th at 6:30. Thank you to all the residents who have come to these sessions and offered comments, questions, and careful consideration of the proposal. Recordings of the public forums are available through the town website, shown on ICAT, on DVDs at each branch, and on the library proposal website at libraryproposal.com. After each community group meeting and information forum, we update our frequently asked questions document so that all the questions are addressed. These frequently asked questions can be found online at the proposal website and at each branch. We have worked so hard to include as many questions as we can that this document is now 11 pages long. We want to be thorough so that residents are clear on the accurate information and what the vote means to them and our town. Thank you to all the different town departments and employees who have assisted us in making sure all the answers and concerns have been accurately addressed. At each branch are renderings of the conceptual designs. I need to stress that these are conceptual only. They are not the final designs. The final design will come after a process that will follow the vote, a process in which the community will be involved. The final design will reflect community input, staff feedback, and professional advice, as well as the space and dollar amount with which we have to work. Also at each branch are notebooks containing reports and results of the numerous past studies and comment cards that residents can use to submit additional questions and comments. We are also working on a top 10 frequently asked questions highlight so that we can make sure that these questions and topics that are most frequently asked are fully clarified as people head to the polls. A question that does top this list is the size and scope of the building. We have recently prepared a summary document that addresses this question, and it is now on the website and will be available at each branch. All of the meetings, forums, and submitted questions have provided valuable feedback that the board will carefully consider throughout each step in the process. This proposal and the vote on it are just the first steps in the process. The community will be involved every step of the way, and the needs and design will be evaluated throughout the process. If the referendum passes, we'll immediately send out requests for proposals to architects.
From the selection of the architect to the creation of the final design, there will be an open and transparent process with public input. If adjustments are needed to the size and scope of the facility we envision, we will make these changes based on community discussions held with the architect and design teams. Flexibility and adaptability are vital elements of the design. We don't want to build something that will be inadequate the minute it is done being built. Communities in the past who have cut out meeting and program spaces have often regretted it, with Greece just recently doing another renovation to add back in meeting room space. Money will be spent in a fiscally responsible way that gets us the best result to meet our needs. Just because the voters approve borrowing up to $13 million, if they do, doesn't mean we'll spend it all. And we don't need to borrow all the money, and we certainly don't need to borrow it all at once. Fundraising and grants will offset as much of the cost as possible. As I mentioned, there are 2 more public information forums scheduled on Tuesday, March 26th at 10:30 a.m. and April 10th, 6:30 p.m. here in the Broderick Room. We hope that you and your neighbors will attend these so we have the opportunity to share this proposal and hear from everyone. If you have additional questions or need clarification on anything we've discussed, we encourage people to reach out. You can contact us by phone or an email and visit the libraryproposal.com website to learn more. Our contact information is there as well. This proposal comes after many, many, many years of study and debate. The library board continues to struggle to stretch our annual budget to maintain branches less than 3 miles apart. The buildings need serious repair and upgrades, with the barest minimum costing an estimated $2.2 million, and a little more would cost us an estimated $6.2 million, with neither getting us additional space and both still requiring duplication of efforts, resources, and the inefficient stretching of our tax dollars to do so. On April 23rd, residents will have their say on the future of their library. What do we want our library to be, and what do we as a town deserve? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Stephanie, just a question. Even if you did spend the money on renovations, would that bring either of those branches into the New York State compliance?
No, they wouldn't meet the state guidelines for the space recommendations.
So
That
you
would
would-
just be to bring up electrical facilities up to code, reconfiguring some of the inside space to make it moderately more efficient, but it wouldn't change the ultimate square footage. It wouldn't change the services that we'd be able to offer. It wouldn't be able to change the number of hours we could be open. And again, we'd be still maintaining 2 branches with our single operating budget.
And not available for New York State tax dollars?
Exactly. We
money?
still would not be eligible
As
for the grant.
you
the-
would not
the
be in
building-
compliance.
Correct, the construction grants, correct. Any other questions I can answer? Okay. Thank you guys very much.
Okay, thank you. Just an update on things in town. I know we're all looking forward to this. The next one-way detour for the East Ridge Road project will begin approximately April 1st, 2013, and that's not a Fool's Day joke. This one-way detour for Phase 2 of the project will detour westbound traffic on East Ridge Road from Carter Street to Hudson Avenue in order to rehabilitate the asphalt paving, curbing, and sidewalks. Eastbound traffic will proceed as normal. In addition, the crews will be working at night to expedite the project. A newsletter will be sent to the owners and occupants along East Ridge Road, informing them of the start date and to provide them with the contact information. The next Red Cross blood drives are March 23rd at Laurelton Fire Department, March 30th at St. Paul Fire Department, April 6th at Ridge Culver Fire Department. Please give the gift of life as blood and platelet shortages continue. Walk-ins are welcome. Please visit redcrossblood.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS for updated information. Saturday, April 13th, Monroe County Pickup Parks event. Our Irondequoit Conservation Board is hosting the cleanup at Irondequoit Bay Marine Park, and the Irondequoit Fish and Game Club is hosting it at the Irondequoit Bay Park West. So for volunteers wishing to participate, go to the Monroe County website /parks, and we thank those organizations for taking on the lead in preserving those parks. As Stephanie has said, the referendum vote for the centralized library and bonding of up to $13 million is Tuesday, April 23rd. The Monroe County Board of Elections has divided the town into two voting polling sites. Maps will be posted in Town Hall, Pine Grove Senior Center, and both library branches. The maps can also be viewed on the town and library websites. If you go to the town website, under upcoming events on that very first page, you will see new library proposal vote. If residents look at the large map or the split map, if you adjust the percentage size for your vision, you'll be able to locate the house and see which polling location you should vote. These maps advise where to vote based upon where you live. The residents living in the green shaded area, and you'll be seeing these maps all over, town divided like this. The green shaded areas, if you live in that area, you should vote at the St. Paul Fire Department on Cooper Road. Residents living in, like on the website, this shows this in purple. Unfortunately, the maps we replicated didn't like purple. They are gray shaded, but we have that denoted on all the maps. If you live in the purple or gray shaded area, you will be voting at the Ridge Culver Fire Department on Culver Road. Residents who are registered with Monroe County Board of Elections are eligible to vote. If you are not a registered voter for general elections, a special registration day at each polling place is Saturday, April 13th from 9 o'clock to 4 o'clock. But for example, if you voted in the presidential election in November, you're a registered voter to vote for this. So this means you have never voted in any general election. You need to be a registered voter, resident of 30 days. Stephanie remarked about the two other informational meetings that will be taking place in the Broderick Room, one in the morning, one in the evening, to accommodate our residents. And please contact Town Hall if you have questions about voting procedures, where to vote. Right now, we're getting ready to send out this week the military ballots and the ballots to those who have a permanent absentee ballot in place. So we want to make sure that everybody has that opportunity to vote. Again, I wish to express my heartfelt and grateful appreciation for all the cards and gestures extended to me during these past months. Last week, a resident sent me a beautiful card with a photograph of Mirror Lake in Yosemite. The resident knew I would appreciate this card because she knows I'm a tree hugger, and included this comforting message that I wish to share with you in my closing remarks. May the beautiful and varied greens of the trees bring serenity. May the majesty and ruggedness of the mountains offer strength. And may the clear mirror image of the lake give hope for the future. And I think that applies to all of us. So with that, we move on to public input. We do have a public hearing at 7:35. I don't think that hearing will take too long, and I'm anticipating we'll go through our agenda quite quickly. So let us start with Denise LaRosa, please.
Denise LaRosa, 115 Van Voorhis Avenue. I agree with the residents who have spoken about the need for a new library and space for public activities and meetings. But instead of talking about the future of the library, I'm speaking about its importance to the future of Irondequoit. On Sunday, December 23rd, the headline article on the front page of the Democrat and Chronicle's local section was titled, "Irondequoit may be at a tipping point." It said, "This much is certain. A decade from now, the town will be a much different place. The new library will be a shiny community center that draws the town's two sides together and stands as proof of public-minded municipal leadership. Or it will fall victim to the same bitter resistance to change that makes town officials and developers blanch at angry public hearings. It was embarrassing to read how our town is viewed by outsiders. It wasn't always that way. My husband and I moved to Arundecoit over 35 years ago, when it was equal to or ahead of many other Monroe County towns by most measures: development, beauty, schools, shopping, public spaces, residential areas, recreational opportunities, and town services, including libraries. Over the years, though, we watched other towns progress as we slid backward. Why? A primary reason was Arundecoit's unwillingness to spend money to improve the town, insisting that we couldn't afford it. You can ask why Arundecoit was not worth improving, but as a result, property values, which is our tax base, declined, leading to a higher tax rate over time and further downward pressure not to do anything that would raise taxes, even slightly. Obviously, if property values decrease, either services must be reduced or the tax rate must go up, even when total taxes remain unchanged. This becomes a self-perpetuating decline. The new library can begin to change things. Like the adage about needing to spend money in order to make money, we need to improve the town in order to get it back on a positive trajectory. As more people want to move to Arundecoit, property values increase. Private development follows, and then it makes sense for residents to improve their properties because they are worth more. Arundecoit has beautiful natural resources and much to offer, but it is simply running out of time. The DNC article concluded, "The seeds of both visions of the future have their roots in Arundecoit today, and there's no easy way to predict which way it will go. I plan to help assure that the right seed grows by supporting the library proposal on April 23rd.
Thank you very much. Kira Nicolwitz.
Hi to the supervisor and the town board. My name is Kira Nicolwitz. My husband Dave and I live on Brentfield Circle, and we've been Arundecoit residents since we married and moved here from Pittsburgh 40 years ago. We found Arundecoit to be a wonderful place to raise a family, great people, great schools, and great natural resources. And we're pleased that our son and daughter-in-law have bought a home in Arundecoit and plan to stay. Tonight I would like to speak in favor of the new library proposal with an eye to the future of attracting more young people to Arundecoit and keeping my peers, my senior citizen friends who are thinking of retiring elsewhere. It gives us all a sense of newness and excitement to think of this improvement to our town. I congratulate the library board for well thought out information sessions and plans, and for reminding us that a library on the town hall grounds was long ago part of a plan for Arundecoit. As much as I like the idea of neighborhood libraries, we must acknowledge the current buildings are not in walking distance for many of our residents, the ones who live at Seabreeze and by the bay, etc. Plus, they are sadly behind in size and the American Disabilities Act accessibility, condition of the bathrooms, the gathering space and computer access and ability to use them, because there's not enough room for them. Plus the upkeep and cost of the air conditioning, heating, maintenance of roofs, etc. So in my mind, throwing good money at old buildings for very little gain just isn't acceptable. How much better it will be to have a new library meeting space, one place for the whole town to access that has multi-generational benefit. Teens, little kids' story hours, and senior citizens gathering space, and also inviting for other people to come from other towns to our library instead of us having to go elsewhere. We will no longer be the poor country cousins. We'll be proud of our town, and that's worth 8 cents a day to me. And actually, I probably spend more than that in library fees and reservation of a book that has to come in from somewhere else. And I agree with Denise that this is not just about the library. This is about giving our town hope and something to be excited and pull together on. And I have no concerns about the space, the parking. I think it's all going to be great. I'm very excited. So I beg the town board to help clear any obstacles or opposition. We need to move forward with the library, which will be a breath of life and attract new families. Thank you.
Thank you, Kira. Miriam Gantz.
My name is Miriam Gans. I live at 11 Covington Road. I have told this story before, but I think this is a good time to repeat it. Older residents like me know that at one time Rochester had an NBA franchise, the Rochester Royals. In 1956, Rochester had the choice between signing a player named Sayugo Green and a newcomer. Rochester went with Mr. Green, and the newcomer signed with the Boston Celtics. Oh, that newcomer? Perhaps you've heard of him. His name was Bill Russell.
Oh, my goodness.
Imagine what would have happened had it gone the other way around. If Irondequoit ever had a Sayugo Green, a Sayugo Green moment, as my mother would have said, it is now. On April 23rd, residents will have the chance to decide if we are going to continue to force 21st century library needs into 1960s square holes, or if we're going to embrace a newcomer and move forward with a library which will bring us services and materials which are in line with what other towns offer their residents. For 8 cents a day, we can bring our community together in a library it can be justly proud of. With all due respect to Mr. Green, how about we try Mr. Russell this time and then see what happens? Thank you.
Is that really true?
That was cute. Thank you, Miriam. Bob Spatola.
Good evening, Madam Supervisor, Town Board. My name is Bob Spatola. I live at 143 Dake Avenue. I am current president for the Irondequoit Chamber of Commerce, representing a variety of business owners and operators here in Irondequoit that employ many of our town residents, and more especially many of our teens. More than 90% of our chamber membership are also residents within the town of Irondequoit. The chamber goal is to encourage business development that helps build a healthy community, a community where jobs, affordable housing, good schools, and town services are the criteria for new business as well as new home ownership. So first, the chamber is very happy to know that the I-Square is on its way for development. Secondly, with the proposal to consolidate our libraries, the chamber would like to publicly state the following. The Irondequoit Chamber of Commerce recognizes that a 21st century central library will offer the types of valued services and amenities that attracts homeowners, attracts home buyers and retains homeowners, and keeps the businesses here in the Irondequoit area and the spending power of the residents here in Irondequoit. Therefore, for the good of our merchants and the good of our residents, the Irondequoit Chamber of Commerce endorses this long overdue plan to improve our town with a new central library. I would be remiss if I didn't at least reach out and say thank you to the town board for your efforts along with the county and the state in being proactive and having a meeting here at the town hall about a month ago, bringing in the business owners on Ridge Road to rediscuss the Ridge Road redevelopment. And lastly, I'd like to say for any of those who may be listening tonight or here in the audience, I would encourage them to join the Chamber of Commerce, as we are always looking for new business and new membership. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Carolyn Hamill.
Good evening. My name is Carolyn Hamill, and I live at 443 Washington Avenue for 48 years. I have raised 2 children and lived with my husband there, and we love Arundecoit. Oh, and by the way, of complete transparency, I am on the board of the Friends of the Library. People are very fond of saying that these days. And I am supporting the plan for a new centralized library. Many reasons have been mentioned: space, and we do need more space, stopping costly repairs, and better use of staff. I, however, have another reason. As a longtime resident of this town, I want a library that I can be proud of. I want a library that serves the needs of Arundecoit. I want the image that people in Arundecoit can make constructive decisions. We're not always bickering and making poor decisions for our town. We do have vision and positive plans for our town, and the new library is one of them. I want to give a big thank you to the town board and the library board for working together and giving the citizens of Arundecoit an opportunity to make a positive decision. And fellow citizens, please get out and vote on April 23rd and make this a real thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Janine Connor, please.
Good evening, Board and Town Supervisor. My name is Janine Connor, for those of you who don't know. I am a resident here in I-Town. We live at 160 Valley View Crescent. I really don't need to speak here tonight. I mean, it's been nice to hear all of this positive support for the library. But I'm an educator, I'm a counselor by training and by nature, so for every naysayer, you need to hear 5 positives, right? So here goes. So, like I said, my mother-in-law lives here and has nearly all of her adult life. My grandfather-in-law became a resident here in the last decade of his life, and I have a sibling and her children that live here. And I have had siblings-in-law who have lived here as well, 2 of which who have moved away. And we miss them. We loved having more of our family right here in this town. My husband and I relocated from California to Arundecoit purposely, from clear across the country, Northern California, to raise our 2 sons in the same town that my husband and I grew up in. We attended Arundecoit High School and look forward to watching our children carry on in this very same tradition. We are not homebodies by any stretch of the word. Frankly, we run ourselves ragged trying to keep up with the events in all the local towns each week. And in regards to library usage, we've toured nearly all of them. My husband prefers the DVD selection at the Penfield branch. My kids have participated in exploring the secret room in the newer Central Library. I grew up as a Rundell participant, and my best friend was some sort of amazing curator there at the Rundell Library. So I have a big, long passion for libraries. My kids have participated in the Valentine's Day toddler dance at the beautiful Webster Library, and we've enjoyed the fish tank and Star Wars events at the Grease branch. And the playrooms in the Pittsford and the Webster libraries are stunning. So, and I personally am intrigued by that itty-bitty, multi-level Charlotte Library. So with that said, it would be such a treat to enjoy some of those amenities at our very own local library. But let me back up. How do I use our town libraries? Well, I've attended crock-pot cooking classes at the Evans branch. My children and I have greatly enjoyed movie nights for free when we didn't make it to the big blockbuster premieres of the movies. Mom's Club had a personal experience of the early literacy program, which was spectacular. Thank you, library staff. And when I was working full-time, I took pride in seeing my children's daycare staff, the Sunshine Daycare, go out of their way to borrow books from our local libraries to do circle time with the children, my children. I've attended tours of the guts of our 2 libraries and left dismayed and stunned. Our libraries were in such disrepair, and I learned that the last repairs may have been in the early 80s. Why a new library? Because libraries are an inspired space, and they should be treated with care, pride, and wisdom.
Janine, your time's up.
Okay, would you like me
Sorry.
to stop?
I would love to have you go on because you have a nice speaking voice,
Thank
but we
you.
really need to stay to the time constraints.
I will respect that. Thanks for listening thus far.
Yeah.
We got your idea, though.
Pro library.
Pro library, go library.
So we must move on to the public hearings.
PH 3A 2013-1 in the matter of discussing the creation of a LaSalle's Landing Sewer District pursuant to Article 12A of the Town Law.
May I have
So
a motion
moved.
to open the public hearing? Second, please.
Second.
Okay. Patrick?
Good evening. This is my low-tech mixed media presentation. What I'd like to do is give a little background of the project here that we're looking at. And once I'm done with that, then I'll open up the conversation to the town board and the town attorney, and after that, they'll invite people from the audience to come up and speak if they'd
Can
like.
that be closer to the camera so Nate can pick this all up?
I'm pretty sure Nate can pick that up.
Okay.
I looked at another presentation, and they can zoom in pretty close. I know it's
Okay.
it's difficult for everybody here to see it, but I'll go up and point some things out.
Okay.
My glasses on here. The properties that we're including in the LaSalle's Landing Sewer District have buildings that have been using septic fields for sanitary waste since their construction. In the late 1990s, the town of Penfield created Sewer District Number 12 to service the properties at the south end of Irondequoit Bay. Enough thought was put into that district for sufficient capacity to allow the Irondequoit properties to flow to the Penfield sewer. So the district that's being proposed is here in the shaded area. The Penfield-Irondequoit border kind of runs along this area right here. Penfield's to the east, Irondequoit is to the west. Because of topography and the distance needed to travel, it is not feasible for the properties to tie into the Irondequoit system near Orchard Park Boulevard. So the closest sewer facilities that we have are right up here at the intersection of Orchard Park Boulevard and Empire Boulevard. The closest facilities that Penfield has is right here next to the edge of the creek when they built their system approximately 1996-97, I believe. Their system, there's a pump station right here. It pumps it to another pump station, which then pumps it up to the top of Empire Boulevard. When they created their system, it includes all of the commercial properties along Empire Boulevard, south of Plank Road. Last year, we were approached by McMillan Marine, owned by Mark McMillan, with the desire to expand his facility and update his sewer needs. Since his expansion, he has been servicing his staff and clients with portable units until such time that the district is approved. In our early discussions with Mark McMillan, we agreed to discuss a district that would encompass the area zoned LaSalle's Landing Development District, consisting of approximately 14 acres near the Penfield border that could be sewered by Penfield Sewer District Number 12. This area encompasses 7 properties owned by Mark McMillan, Gitzies, and RT Masters. Once we had the boundaries of the area determined, the town prepared a map plan and report as the initial step in forming the new district, and was adopted by the town board on December 12, 2012, subject to a permissive referendum. The upgrades to Mark McMillan's sewer are being privately funded, along with the potential other properties within this district. No common public sewer is proposed at this time. Currently, any of the connections to the Penfield sewer by private any of the connections to the Penfield sewer by private force main would be borne by the individual properties connecting to Penfield and not shared amongst the properties within the new district. It is important to note that McMillan Marine has already received their New York State DEC permit to allow this connection and the boring under the creek to enable this connection to take place. Connections of this type and the elimination of private septic systems in this area, especially commercial properties, have positive environmental impacts. And with that, I'd like to open it up to the board for discussion.
Okay. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak in favor? Seeing no one, is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition? All right. Do any of the board members have questions to ask? We will be adopting the resolution momentarily, but do you have anything to ask right now?
I just have one question, that being that the costs for future excavation repairs will always be on the individual property owners?
That's correct. Right now, there is not a public sewer being installed. So, for example, Mark McMillan ties his sewer into the Penfield system. That's a private force main. And so anything that happens with that private force main, he would be responsible for.
If there are to be future buildings in that area, will they have to also hook in?
It's a good question. Right now, the health department, I believe their rules are that if your system fails and there's a sewer within connecting distance, that you need to tie your sewer into that. Once it's failed, you can't repair it, as long as there's a sewer that's available. Right now, I don't know of any other failed systems down there. So I believe if a new business was to be built, that they would have to tie into the system.
And would it be able to handle a very large building with many, the flow being?
Penfield would review that before they would allow it. Right now, they have the capacity to service the businesses that are down there right now, plus some additional. As times change and as things may change on the Penfield side, what they may be able to provide Irondequoit may either go up or down. But right now, it's sufficient to handle what's there plus some additional.
Patrick, there's not much usable land left on the Irondequoit side down there, is there?
There's not a lot. Then the district area that we're talking about encompasses the LaSalle. What we did is we determined the boundaries to be what is now considered the LaSalle's Landing Development District. And a lot of that area is in the water and in the marshlands. We followed essentially the property lines and the line of the zoning district. So there's not a lot of available land.
Great. This is exciting for those people. They've had to deal with sewer issues for a long time in a very environmentally sensitive area.
Yeah. I do know that Mark McMillan is anxious for this to, finally be resolved and, he can move forward.
Excellent.
Okay, anything else? May I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
And a second.
Second?
All those in favor of closing signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, moving on to the resolution then, Mrs. Janier.
Ordering the establishment of the LaSalle's Landing Sewer District pursuant to Article 12A of the town law, subject to permissive referendum.
Motion, please.
Moved.
Second.
And second, thank you. And I just want to make sure Mrs. Janier has the corrected record. We have the corrected record on the website too. But in the second whereas paragraph, the first sentence, the 2012 needs to be changed to 2013.
Oh, yeah, mine's not. Good.
Okay? Okay, Patrick.
Whereas a map plan and report relating to the establishment of the proposed LaSalle's Landing Sewer District, preparation of which was authorized under Resolution 2012-206, adopted on December 12, 2012, subject to permissive referendum, and has been duly filed with the town clerk in accordance with the requirements of Article 12-A of the town law, And whereas an order was duly adopted by this town board on February 19th, 2013, reciting the filing of said map, plan, and report, the improvements proposed, the boundaries of the proposed district, the proposed method of financing, the fact that the map, plan, and report describing the same were on file in the town clerk's office for public inspection, and stating all other matters required by law to be stated, and specifying March 19th, 2013 at 7:35 p.m. as provided by Section 36-4A10 of the Arundecoit Town Code at the Town Hall, 2080 Titus Avenue, Town of Arundecoit, New York State, as the date, time, and place where this town board would meet and consider said map, plan, and report, and hear all interested persons concerning the same, and to take such action as is required or authorized by law. And whereas such order was duly published and posted as required by law, and whereas a hearing on said matter was duly held by this town board on March 19th, 2013, at 7:35 p.m. on said day in the town hall, at which all interested persons desiring to be heard were heard, including those in favor of and those opposed to the establishment of said LaSalle's Landing Sewer District. And whereas the proposition under consideration by the Arundecoit Town Board is the creation of the proposed sewer district, which will facilitate the extension of sewer service through the existing utility distribution facilities of the Town of Penfield Sewer District Number 12 by enabling properties within the area defined by map, plan, and report on file with the town clerk consisting of approximately 14 acres to connect to those sewer facilities. And whereas the proposed action constitutes adoption of regulations, policies, procedures, or local legislative decisions in connection with the extension of utility distribution systems, including sewer systems to properties within the area defined by the map, plan, and report or file with the town clerk. And whereas such actions are deemed pursuant to the regulations adopted by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation to be Type 2 actions and are not subject to the requirements of the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act. Now therefore, upon the evidence adduced at such public hearing, the board hereby resolves and determines the following. Section 1, that the notice of hearing was posted and published as required by law and is otherwise sufficient. That all property owners within the proposed district are benefited thereby. That all property owners benefited are included within the limits of the proposed district. That it is in the public interest to establish said district. Section 2, that the creation of the proposed sewer district to enable the extension of public sewer services to the 7 properties known as LaSalle's Landing, which are out of reach of the Arundecoit Consolidated Sewer District, is a Type 2 action pursuant to 6 NYCRR Section 617.5C, subdivisions 11 and 27, and no further review pursuant to the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act is required. 6 NYCRR Section 617.5A. Section 3, that the establishment of the proposed district as set forth in said map, plan, and report be approved, and that said sewer district shall be designated and known as the LaSalle's Landing Sewer District in the town of Arundecoit, situated wholly outside of any incorporated village or city, and shall be bounded and described as set forth in the map, plan, and report on file with the town clerk. Section 4, that the boundaries of said LaSalle's Landing Sewer District are determined to be all that tract or parcel of land situated in the town of Arundecoit, county of Monroe, state of New York, bounded and described as shown on attachment A of the map, plan, and report. It's right here. Section 5, that this order is subject to permissive referendum as provides in Section 209-E of the town law. And the board hereby orders that pursuant to town law, Section 90, the town clerk shall within 10 days of the adoption of this order post and publish a notice which shall set forth the date of adoption of the resolution and contain an abstract of such act or resolution concisely stating its purpose and effect, and said notice shall specify that the order was adopted subject to a permissive referendum.
Thank you. Does anyone have any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. And Barb has her checklist of all the things she has to do to follow this through the legal process. So, hearing no further discussion, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Patrick. And thank you, Barbara, for all the work you will have to do with that, too. You are the best.
No doubt.
Okay, it looks like we're up to the financial report. Okay, Annie, you're on deck.
Okay. I have two reports to present this evening. First, I will present the 2012 tentative financial report as of 2/28/2013. Then I will review the financial results from the February 2013 report. As indicated previously, I do not plan to provide another 2012 monthly update in this forum, as we will be actively engaged in the audit and closing process. Our 2012 books still remain open for outstanding revenue as of 2/28/2013, remain open for outstanding revenue and required closing entries and adjustments. The monthly updates have allowed us to understand how the 2012 financials have progressed thus far in the year-end closing. After the town's auditing firm, Freed Maxick CPAs PC, generates the 2012 financial statements, their partner, Laura Landers, will present and discuss the town's financial status with the town board at a mid-year workshop meeting. Highlights of the town's financial condition will be shared with the public at a subsequent town board meeting. The 2012 financial results for the town as they appear at the end of February 2013. Total expenditures and encumbrances for the town are $30.2 million, which equates to 95.8% of budget. $29.9 million of expenditures and $252,000 of encumbrances. The general fund total is expenses $17.4 million, 96.3% of budget. $17.3 million of actual expenditures and $135,000 in encumbrances. Collectively, the highway funds have expended $5.8 million, 102.7% of budget. Included in the highway expenditures is approximately $200,000 in salt and other replacement purchases that are charged to the salt barn. Without those salt barn purchases, the consolidated highway funds would be at 99.2% of budget. Expenditures in the other major funds, the library expenditures are $1.7 million, 96.8% of budget. The sewer fund expenses total $3.4 million, 86.3% of budget. And stormwater drainage is at 73.2% of budget, equating to approximately $560,000. The general fund revenue received is $18,836,168, or 105.8% of budget. We are finishing the year quite well in a majority of the general fund revenue categories. Real estate taxes, we received $10.3 million, or 100% of budget. Pilot payment in lieu of tax, 100.6% of budget. Sales tax for 11 months, $3.2 million, and that's 106.7% of budget. There's still 1 month of sales tax revenue not in these numbers. Mortgage tax, $783,000, or 118.7% of budget. State aid, $613,000, 102% of budget. Franchise cable fees, $412,000, and that's only for 6 months. Recreation fees, $329,000, 93.7% of budget. Other sources of revenue category is 194.3% of budget. Included in that category is weeds and demolition. That activity alone is higher than budget by $187,000. Also included in this category is $750,000 of insurance recovery for the salt barn. $553,000 of that recovery will be transferred to the salt barn capital account, and approximately $100,000 will be transferred to other funds. If we were to adjust for this $653,000 transfer from the general fund revenue would adjust to $18.2 million. It would adjust from $18.8 million to $18.2 million, which would represent a budget that's 102.2%. If you compare the $18.2 million of revenue to the $17.4 million of general fund expenditures that I just mentioned that are on the top part of your report, if you're looking at it, the middle section, you will note that as of 2/28/2013, the general fund revenue exceeds expenditures by $800,000. Since this report was published, we have received over $400,000 in cable franchise fees. That's an additional $400,000. And we have properly accrued $355,000 in sales tax for the month of December 2012 alone. Sales tax for the full year will be more than $3.5 million or 119% of budget. The additional revenue that we have booked will outweigh our added expenditures, and you will see added expenditures in a resolution that's coming up of approximately $441,000. Again, the additional revenue that we've booked will outweigh our added expenditures and should leave the general fund adding approximately $1 million to the fund balance this year. Regarding the entire town, $32.6 million of revenue has been received to date, 105.3% of budget. At least 100% of revenue is in for each of the other major funds. The revenue received by the library is 100.4% of budget, or $1.8 million. Highway has received $5.8 million, or 103.7% of budget, and $3.9 million is in for the sewer fund, representing 102.7% of budget. To recap the financials for the entire town, total revenue for the entire town, that's on the page 2, the bottom of the page, $32.6 million. Total expenditures for the entire town, that's front page, just before the double underline. Total expenditures, $30.2 million. So for the total town, the revenue has exceeded expenditures by $2.4 million. So this concludes my financial report for 2012, for the 2012 tentative year-end closing. The financial results for the town as of February 28th, total expenditures and encumbrances are $7.2 million, equating to 23.1% of budget. That's higher than the percent of the year that has elapsed of 16.7%, which is very typical early in the year. Actual expenditures are $4.3 million and encumbrances are $2.9 million. General fund expenses are 21.9% of budget, or $3.9 million. Collectively, the expenses in the highway funds are $1.9 million, or 35.7% of budget. That's above the percent of the year that has elapsed. However, we have sizable encumbrances in the highway, as we typically do. Gas and fuel in Highway 1, debt principal and interest in Highway 3, and salt in Highway 4. Actual expenditures in the other major funds are very close or lower than the 16.7% of the year that has elapsed. The library has expended $292,000, that's 15.7% of budget. So they are below the percent of the year that has elapsed. The sewer fund is at 17.3% of budget, which equates to $677,000. Stormwater drainage is at 8.7% of budget, which is approximately $68,000. The general fund revenue received as of the end of February, $10.7 million, or 59.2% of budget. Of that amount, $10.3 million is tax revenue, and $190,000 is pilot. Regarding the entire town, $21.8 million, or 70.2% of revenue has been received to date. Approximately $16.3 million is real estate tax. The library has received $1.7 million, or 92.9% of its revenue. Highway has received $4.7 million, or 84.2%. And $3.7 million of revenue is in for the sewer fund, equaling 98%. This concludes my report for February 2013.
Thank you, Annie.
You're welcome.
If I could do a cartwheel, Annie, right now, I would do a cartwheel.
I would love to see you.
That's why I can't wait until that audit comes out for the May 2012 year, because it's going to be a beauty.
Oh, hats off to all you department heads and the supervisor. You've done the town proud. Excellent.
Approval of minutes, February 13, 2013, the workshop meeting.
Thank you. Paul will have to abstain from voting on this one. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Okay, did anyone notice any additions, corrections, anything that I didn't either? So, hearing none, sorry. Let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. And then just Paul abstaining.
February 19, 2013, the regular town board meeting.
Moved?
Second.
Thank you. Did anyone find anything that needed corrections or additions? It's pretty
Excellent.
clear cut.
Yep, excellent.
Okay, we all can vote on this one. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
And the February 26, 2013, the special town board meeting.
And,
I need to abstain on this one.
I went and mixed up the two. Yeah. Yeah, this is
The special one.
the one that Deborah would have to
That's out
abstain,
of
so. Motion, please?
Moved.
And a second. Okay, thank you. And did anyone find anything that needed to be corrected, added? All right. Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. So that's 4 yeses and 1 abstention.
I just want to publicly thank, I have an outside gal who is wonderful in the English grammar, and she proofreads my minutes, so I don't think it's fair that I take all the credit. So, her name is Dee Jeske.
Thank you.
Thank you to her as well.
Okay. We'll zip through items for board action now.
Item, Controllers 3A 2013-2, adopt a resolution to transfer the insurance recovery proceeds of the salt barn structure from the general fund to capital account 301.
Motion, please.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Okay, Annie, would you like to read, please?
Whereas the town has received into the general fund $553,000 of insurance recovery proceeds from Travelers Insurance Company for replacement of the salt barn structure that was destroyed in a fire on June 1st, 2012. Whereas it is necessary to transfer the $553,000 of insurance recovery proceeds for the salt barn structure to capital account 301 in order to apply those funds as revenue for the reconstruction of the salt barn. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board authorizes an interfund transfer of $553,000 from the general fund to capital fund 301 as recovery revenue for the salt barn structure that was destroyed in a fire on June 1st, 2012.
Thank you. Does anyone have any discussion to add to this?
The only thing I want to say is I'm really happy with the way that whole area has turned out with the salt barn and the garage, Patrick, and the way that you did the berm and all the dirt from LA Fitness. You guys have done a great job back there.
It's looking nice.
It really
The
is.
cold storage facility looks really nice. So,
Thank you. It's still a work in progress.
And
We
we'll
want to
get
get
through
some
it all.
fencing up and some other things to help,
I appreciate
Keep
the
moving
extra
forward.
effort, though. You've really tried to make it neighborhood friendly, and it's paying off.
any other discussion? Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 3A, 2013-3, authorizing 2012 interfund closing transfers to appropriate funding to the self-insurance fund.
Motion, please.
Moved.
Second.
Second, thank you.
Whereas the town board has received the attached summary of recommended 2012 interfund transfers to appropriate funding for the self-insurance fund, and whereas the transactions are necessary prior to closing the 2012 operating budget accounts, and now therefore be it resolved that the town board approves the 2012 interfund transfers to appropriate funding for the self-insurance fund as stated on the attached document.
Okay, anyone have any discussion?
No, we talked about this at the
Yeah.
workshop, that this isn't anything other than some things that had to be settled. It was nothing that any department head had done wrong, and it was just...
It's just part of conducting business.
Right.
Okay. I also want to remind residents who are watching the show at home that on your computers, you can also follow along with all these resolutions. Okay, hearing no further discussion, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 3A, 2013-4, authorizing a series of balanced appropriation transfers within several funds of the 2012 operating budget.
Motion, please. And a second.
Second.
Thank you. And I'm going to have Annie read this, but I wanted to say first that I don't want anybody to get nervous, that we do have unexpected occurrences that happen. But starting with the 2011 budget, we established a contingency fund to cover those unexpected expenses, but we still didn't even hit the contingency fund, and we still added a surplus to the 2012 budget. So everything is copacetic with this. So Annie?
Whereas the town board has received the attached summary of recommended appropriation transfers for 2012, and whereas the transactions are necessary prior to closing the 2012 operating budget accounts, and whereas the transactions are balanced within each operating fund, now therefore be it resolved that the town board approves the series of appropriation transfers for the 2012 operating budget as summarized on the attached document.
Okay.
And this is the document that we reviewed at the workshop.
Okay, does anyone have any questions or discussion? I just wanted to give a couple things. For example, we had allocated more money to do sewer work, but with the summer we had, we were able to do more paving, so there had to be that intertransfer from sewer into paving, which was a good thing, that the sewer didn't need the work and we needed to do the paving. Those are probably some of the more significant things, some of the contingencies that we did not expect to happen, and of course, with those, negotiating a contract caused some differentials. Perhaps other legal claims come up that require more from legal services. So, they are all a part of conducting business. So, nothing really out of the extraordinary. So, any other questions or concerns? Hearing none then, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 3A, 2013-5, increasing towing fees.
Motion, please? And a second. I'll second it. Okay, Chief.
Whereas there has been a request submitted by the town board, or to the town board by the town of Arundecoit towing contractor Crystal Towing for an increase in fees for services rendered. And whereas the last towing fee increase took place in 2006, where the present fees were set at $105 for regular towing, $50 for winching and recovery, and $23 for impound fee per calendar day. Whereas the request has been made the rates to increase to $125 for standard towing of all vehicles, $60 for winching and recovery, $30 for vehicle storage per day. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board approves the increase in towing and impound fees for the town of Arundecoit according to the above fee schedule. Be it further resolved that because of this request is from the vendor agrees to pay for the cost of printing revised vehicle impound slips reflecting the approved fee increase. This resolution, upon its adoption, will take effect April 1st. What I did with this is took a survey, and I believe it's attached to the resolutions on what other towns are charging for the towing, and we were way behind, and now we're up equal with all the other towns. We're not above them, but we're equal with them. And on our towing slips, we put the cost. We allow the customer to see what it's costing, and that if when we change our towing slips, that we have to change all the fees on them. So the towing contractor, was good enough to take the expense of the new towing slips and have them printed up at their expense.
Thank you. And it's also understood that their impound also follows all proper rules and regulations.
Well, and just note to self and the people of the town of Arundecoit, don't put your car where it doesn't belong. You're going to have at least $215 to pay.
Okay.
That's just for one day.
Do you know from experience?
No, I don't.
Oh, good.
I was surprised. I didn't think this, like when we talked about at the workshop, I didn't think that this would happen very often, but the chief said it happens all the time.
Oh, yeah. Any other discussion? Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 3A, 2013-6, declaring surplus light bars and the purchase of said light bars by Seabreeze Volunteer Fire Department.
So moved.
Thank you. In a second.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, Chief?
Whereas the Arundecoit Police Department no longer has use for 3 federal signal vector light bars formerly used on police vehicles and wishes to declare said light bars surplus property. And whereas the Seabreeze Volunteer Fire Department, because of limited funding, has requested to purchase the 3 federal vector light bars for a total amount of $75. Now therefore be resolved that the town board declare the 3 federal signal vector light bars surplus property, and be it further resolved that the town board approve the sale of said light bars to the Seabreeze Volunteer Fire Department at a total cost of $75. This resolution takes effect immediately upon its adoption.
Okay. Good thing for the Seabreeze Fire
Sure.
Department.
Win-win.
Does anyone have any questions? Okay, hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 3A, 2013-7, authorizing attendance to New York Tactical Training Conference and Expo.
Motion, please. I'll move it. Second? Thank you. Okay, Chief?
Whereas it is requested that Captain Richard Ryan, Sergeant Todd Fitzsimmons, and Officer Thomas Fitzak attend the 2013 New York Tactical Training Conference and Expo being offered by the New York Tactical Officers Association in Verona, New York, beginning April 23rd and ending April 25th. Whereas the funding for this seminar is available in the 2013 Police Department budget, account number 0131204100. Approximate cost is $1,864. Now therefore be resolved that Captain Ryan, Sergeant Fitzsimmons, and Officer Fitzak attend the school. The resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption.
Okay.
If you wanted just a little bit explanation on that school, that's a technical school with the events that are happening in today's climate. This is a school where these officers will be taught negotiation skills and also some tactical type training. It's put on by the New York State Department of Criminal Justice, and there's a couple other private companies here. It's a very good course, and it's just part of our continuing training on trying to keep up with the times.
Chief, why did this come to us so late?
We had some problems registering the officers. They wouldn't accept, the company wouldn't accept POs, and we had to go through the process of getting credit card sales, etc. So we planned it ahead of time, but we ran into some obstacles that caused us to delay presenting that to the board.
Were you able to register by March 15th so that you got the lower price?
Right, we got the lower price.
Well, you know how I feel about late resolutions.
Well, they were very sheepish when they came to me, and I said, based on what's happening in the world around us, that this was extremely important, so.
Oh, sure, but, I mean,
Yeah. So,
no reason we
he was
couldn't-
most apologetic. Okay, any other discussion?
I just have a quick question. When the officers attend, when they bring the information back, do you have like mini seminars where they exchange the information that they've learned?
Right. What will happen is the people that I'm sending, two of them are command officers who are in charge of the emergency response team. So they will share what they've learned with the rest of the team. The negotiators, I have two negotiators. One has already attended this school, so this one here has not, and that's a very technical type skill, negotiator. So they will share that with, the negotiators will share most of that with certain members of the department. It's a special skill that everyone couldn't do.
Well, they certainly have enough to choose from that could, my goodness, it's quite intensive.
And this is something we're heightening in the next few months is our emergency management plan, emergency response, so that anything goes wrong for the town of Arundecoit, we'll be prepared.
It also goes with our school safety program. It just enhances the training that goes along with what we decided to do with the schools.
Okay, anything else? Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 3A, 2013-8, authorizing the supervisor to enter into an undertaking with New York State Department of Transportation.
Motion, please.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, Patrick.
Whereas the town of Arundecoit currently has an undertaking on file with the New York State Department of Transportation regarding work that it performs within the New York State rights-of-way within the town of Arundecoit, and whereas the current undertaking is no longer valid due to recent changes in the form and content of the undertaking, and whereas the town of Arundecoit obtains annual permits for utility and non-utility work that it performs within the New York State rights-of-way, a current undertaking from the town is required to be on file with the New York State DOT prior to permit requests, and whereas the town on occasion needs to perform work in the state rights-of-way on town-owned facilities, including sanitary sewers. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the supervisor to enter into an undertaking with the New York State Department of Transportation for town work performed in the New York State rights-of-way located in the town of Arundecoit. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption.
Thank you, Patrick, and I did clarify that they weren't taking me to an undertaker. Any discussion? Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 3A, 2013-9, authorizing consent to assignment regarding refuge collection for various Town of Arundecoit facilities.
Motion, thank you, and a second? Thank you. Okay, Patrick.
Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Arundecoit awarded refuse collection for various Town of Arundecoit facilities to Heberly Disposal Services with Resolution 2011-124 to commence on January 1st, 2012, and whereas the Town of Arundecoit extended the refuse collection agreement with Heberly Disposal Services, Heberly, for an additional 2-year period effective January 1st, 2013 through December 31st, 2014, at the same rate with the option of another 2-year extension at the same rate. And whereas Heberly has recently entered into an asset purchase agreement with Waste Management of New York, LLC, whereby Heberly is selling and Waste Management is purchasing certain assets, customer lists, equipment, agreement, and contract rights of Heberly. And whereas the agreement requires the Town of Arundecoit's consent to the assignment of the agreement, and whereas the Town of Arundecoit desires to consent to the assignment of the agreement from Heberly to Waste Management upon the terms and conditions set forth in the Town Board Resolution 2011-124. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board hereby authorizes the supervisor to consent to the assignment of the agreement from Heberly to Waste Management upon the terms and conditions set forth in Town Board Resolution 2011-124 and upon such other terms approved by the attorneys for the town. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? None?
Pretty straightforward.
Okay, hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 3A, 2013-10, authorizing the supervisor to execute DASNY grant for Seabreeze Waterfront Park.
Motion, please.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Please. Thank you.
Whereas the Town of Arundecoit commenced a project to install 2 pervious pavement parking lots, lighting and other improvements at Seabreeze Waterfront Park in May of 2010, anticipating that it would be reimbursed for the cost of the project from a state grant from the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York. And whereas the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York recently sent to the Town of Arundecoit a grant disbursement agreement for the materials and labor for the improvements at Seabreeze Waterfront Park in the amount of $250,000. And whereas the Town Board wishes the Town Supervisor, Mary Joyce DeRizio, to take any and all actions she deems necessary to execute the agreement and to use the grant proceeds in accordance with the terms of the agreement and to reimburse the Town of Arundecoit for the expenses associated with the project that it has already incurred. Now therefore be it resolved that the Supervisor is hereby authorized, empowered, and directed to take all such action on behalf of the Town of Arundecoit as she may deem necessary, appropriate, or advisable on advice of counsel to carry out the intent and purposes of the foregoing resolution. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption.
Yes. This was the grant that I had written and had gone to Honorable Joseph Morelli back in April, May of 2010, because it was important to me that we have pervious pavement down in those parking lots. They had looked at gravel. I felt that that was not conducive to boats and trailers and kicking up gravel and so forth. So this grant will, now that we're receiving the funds for this, we'll also be able to continue with the lighting of those parking lots and maybe a few other aesthetic improvements too.
I like the part where it's authorizing and empowering you.
Whoa, yeah. So it's been a long process. The Dormitory Authority is very fastidious on all the paperwork and so forth. So as soon as we get through this resolution, Council will give its advisory letter of counsel to the Dormitory Authority, and we will have completed this process.
And it
So-
turned out great.
Yep. Any other discussion? Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 3A, 2013-11, reappointing a Preservation Commission member.
We're finally getting to you. May I have a motion, please? And a second.
Second.
Okay. Whereas a vacancy currently exists on the Preservation Commission as Bruce Dumbold's term has expired, and whereas Bruce Dumbold would like to continue to serve on the Arundecoit Preservation Committee, and we find that's commendable when someone wants to continue, now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Arundecoit hereby approves the appointment of Bruce Dumbold, Preservation Commission member, term expiring December 31st, 2018. Any discussion? Remember, these individuals who serve have special expertise in preservation and historical understanding, and so. Any other discussion? Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. And Bruce, would you like to stand to be recognized?
Item 3A, 2013-12, reappointing a Preservation Commission member.
I'm thrilled to move this.
Thank you. And a second, please.
Second.
Thank you. Whereas a vacancy currently exists on the Preservation Commission as Judith Boleyn's term has expired, and whereas Judith Boleyn would like to continue to serve on the Arundecoit Preservation Commission, now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Arundecoit hereby approves the appointment of Judith Boleyn, Preservation Commission member, term expiring December 31st, 2019. This resolution to take effect immediately. Any discussion?
I don't know Bruce, so I'm sorry I couldn't say anything personal about him, but Mrs. Boleyn is my neighbor across the street, and not only is she a wonderful addition to the board, she's a wonderful neighbor.
Oh, that's good. You feel that way about her? Okay, hearing no discussion, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. And Judith, would you like to stand and be recognized?
And just a reminder and an extra thanks just to the people at home. These people serve on a voluntary basis. They're not
Exactly.
compensated, so we do appreciate all the time that you devote to the town, for
It
sure.
requires a great deal of intellect and research and following the very strict preservation laws. So we thank you very much. Okay.
Item 3A, 2013-13, approving the Bishop Kearney Pace Party on May 23rd, 2013.
Motion? Move. Second. Thank you. Okay, Barb.
Okay. Whereas the Town Clerk's Office received an application from Bishop Kearney High School requesting permission to hold their Bishop Kearney Pace Bonfire, and whereas the purpose of this event is to show senior students that they can have fun without alcohol or drugs, and whereas this event will be held entirely on the property of Bishop Kearney High School from 11:30 p.m. until 12 a.m., and whereas there is no need to block off any areas or set up barricades, now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board approves the application for the Bishop Kearney Pace Bonfire to be held on Thursday, May 23rd, 2013, with assembly at 11 p.m. and disbandment at 12:30 a.m. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption, and all approvals are in.
Very good. Great. Any discussion?
Just a special
Oh,
congratulations
exactly. Yeah, you beat
to the boys and girls
they
basketball
got a lot to
teams, my
celebrate.
alma mater, so very proud of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might want to go with me. They've asked me to speak next Wednesday.
Yeah.
So
That's right. Congratulations,
I
for
think
sure.
it's next Wednesday, whenever the 26th is. Okay. All right. Hearing no further discussion, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 3A, 2013-14, approving the Assisi Peace Walk on June 1st, 2013.
I'll move that.
And I'll second.
Thank you.
Whereas the Town Clerk's Office received an application from the Assisi Institute requesting permission to hold their Peace Walk, and whereas the Assisi Peace Walk will assemble at 8 8:45 a.m. at the Institute, 1400 Winton Road North, on Saturday, June 1st, 2013, and disband at the same location at 11 a.m. And whereas proof of current insurance, which expires on July 7th, has been reviewed and approved by the town's insurance carrier, now therefore be it resolved that the town board approves the application for the Assisi Institute's Peace Walk on June 1st, 2013 at 8:45 a.m. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption, and again, all approvals are in.
Thank you. We had quite a few residents who walked in that last year, and I wouldn't be able to this year because I've promised a date with my husband. So Barb will have the information for any of those that are interested. Any discussion? Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 3A, 2013-15, approving the Rochester General Hospital 5K Run Walk on September 28th, 2013.
Motion? And a second.
Second.
We're such a healthy town.
I know.
Whereas the town clerk's office received an application from RGH to conduct their 5K run, and whereas proof of current insurance, which expires on January 1st, 2014, has been reviewed and approved by the town insurance carrier, now therefore be it resolved that the town board approves the license for Rochester General Hospital to conduct their 5K run on Saturday, September 28th, 2013, beginning at 9 a.m., and this resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption.
Thank you. Any
Again.
discussion? Hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Item 3A, 2013-16, approving the Genesee Valley Harriers Running Club's Rochester River Chase on August 17th, 2013.
Moved. And a second. Thank you.
Whereas the town clerk's office received an application from the Genesee Valley Harriers Running Club to conduct the Rochester River Chase, a 10-mile start run that will run through part of Arundequoit. And whereas proof of current insurance, which expires on November 1st, 2013, has been received and approved by the town's insurance carrier. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board approves the application for the Genesee Valley Harriers Running Club to hold their Rochester River Chase, a 10-mile run start, on Saturday, August 17th, 2013, beginning at 8 a.m. and ending at 11 a.m. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon its adoption. And again, all approvals are in.
Yeah. Any discussion? It is fast.
It's a fast one.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, hearing none, let us vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Fast for me, anyway.
And item 3A, 2013-17, is approving the Finger Lakes Regional Burn Association Annual Burn Walk on June 9th. We have not received the approval from the insurance carriers, so this item will be moved to the April meeting.
Okay, do we need to table, or we can just move it?
Table.
Did a motion to
Just be
table?
table.
Yeah, let's just motion to table it, please.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, so table to April. And then we'll have all those things in. Okay, now back to public comment. See, we got through that agenda pretty quickly.
Yeah, okay.
All right, the next speaker is Terry Carter.
Good evening. Terry Carter, 99 Oak Ridge Drive, resident of the town since 1980. I have additional input from last month on the R7 rezoning application and overall town planning. We're seeing an increase in demand for senior citizen housing. All around the Rochester area, I've seen projects that are addressing this need. It is also a potential source of significantly increased tax revenue. If the town board is developing a strategy to capture some of that revenue, that appears to be a reasonable course of action. However, strategies do not get implemented. What gets implemented are the tactical plans from a strategy, in this case the individual development projects to provide senior housing or other apartments. As I noted last month, if I look out the window of my house on Oak Ridge Drive at a multi-story apartment building, my house would be worth less. Real estate basics. If the R7 rezoning is approved on Titus Avenue, I believe property values there will fall. Tax revenue will fall, and will, I believe, more than offset the tax revenue increases from the proposed development. The shortfall would have to be recovered somehow. I'm 64 years old, 65 in October. I've looked at Florida, Arizona, and places with warmer climates. And my preference would be to remain here. I don't want to live in a neighborhood with no character, anonymous, sitting around with a bunch of people I don't know, just waiting to die because it's warmer there. And a lot of the senior citizens are thinking the same. So the demand for senior housing is there. The places are awful, you should go. The potential for capturing tax revenue is there, and we need that. The approach is critical, though. And we cannot sacrifice a premier neighborhood for what would only be a relatively short-term increase. We do not have a lot of land available in the town, and that limits our recovery capability. We cannot do a lot of successful, positive revenue-generating projects to make up for one bad one. It's essential, therefore, that every senior housing project, every project actually, fits in with the surrounding area and all characteristics, environment, neighborhood, zoning, and positive revenue long-term. With a new, much higher cellular communications facility near the firehouse, the board recognized that having structures which tower over the surrounding neighborhood is detrimental to people living there and can negatively impact the neighborhood. This applies to apartment buildings too. The negative impacts on Titus Avenue, I believe, would be immeasurably larger. Again, I respectfully but strongly urge this board to listen to the residents and exercise good business judgment on a long-term revenue basis. The R7 rezoning should not be approved. I feel a lot better about the town and living here than I have done for several years. I think we've got a lot of good things going, and you deserve a lot of the credit for that. Let's not make a mistake and take a step backward. Next month we can talk more about matching projects to locations. Thank you for your time and attention. Good night.
Thank you. Michelle Ibice. And I'm not quite sure if I pronounced your first name right.
It's just Michelle.
Okay.
Michelle Beachy, 205 Colebrook Drive. I'm a 14-year Rondequoit resident. My husband Mike is a lifelong resident of 40-plus years, and his parents still reside in Rondequoit as well. We have 3 children in West Rondequoit schools. I'm speaking tonight to voice my support for the new library proposal. Our community has been feeding money into 2 outdated, inadequate library buildings for too many years. I'm confident the library board has researched every option and has presented our community with the best solution possible. For those who balk at the minor tax increase, I have a thought for you from Walter Cronkite. Quote, "Whatever the cost of our libraries, the price is cheap compared to that of an ignorant nation." End quote. The less than $3 additional in taxes per month that our household will be spending will easily be recouped in travel costs. I won't be driving to Greece or Webster for library services. Therefore, I also will be spending more of my dollars in Irondequoit instead of stopping at stores and restaurants in those neighboring communities. Hopefully, with many families doing the same, more businesses will come into our town, increasing our tax base as well. With a new, modern, updated, and handicapped accessible building, all families would be able to bring their children to a dedicated children's or teen section of the library. Tutors and literacy volunteers could meet with students in a public area. Community groups such as Scouts or Moms Clubs could use the meeting spaces. Family events and movie nights could be held in a spacious, comfortable setting. Book clubs of all ages could meet there for discussion. Adult students would have a quiet space to work and plug in their laptop. And of course, many more books, DVDs, and CDs could be housed and brought home for free. I'll leave you with a final quote from philanthropist Andrew Carnegie. Quote, "A library outranks any other one thing a community can do to benefit its people. It is a never-failing spring in the desert." End quote. I'm hopeful that my fellow Irondequoit residents will see the many benefits of consolidating our library buildings on the Town Hall campus and vote to bring that never-failing spring to our community on April 23rd. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. And last but not least, Richard Barone.
Richard Barone, 154 Hallwood Drive. About 2 months ago, the planning board made a recommendation to this town board to change the code of the town for the whole town, which thereby would allow the Legacy to pretty much put a commercial building on Titus Avenue. This town board should not change any town code for the whole town because the one developer has a rezoning application before it. By the way, the RFP was totally unethical, and I think I gave this town board information on that RFP that went to LaBella. The $13 million proposal for the library is premature. And the reason for that is the impact on the drainage, the traffic, the noise, and the county road have not been determined. How can you ask the voters to vote on a massive building that is, the numbers keep changing, I understand. First it was 60,000 square feet, then it was 55, and you're basically buying a pig in a poke when you vote on this issue. But how can you ask the voters to vote on something that's massive, takes away all that green space, makes the town hall look like it's a puny little building, but they don't know the effect on the environment? The traffic will be immense. I estimate 3,000 vehicle trips per day to Titus Avenue, on top of what Titus Avenue has. And I live near Titus, and I've seen cars back up at Portland and Titus, 25 cars in a row. You have an obligation, I think legally, to have done that first. The impact on the environment, you can't just have a piece of paper in the file. That's not enough. That's not a hard look. That's not elaboration that the courts have ruled in the past on. So this is premature. I'm not opposing the library, and I'm not in favor of it. But I think the procedure is wrong. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. And I think that's it for public comment. So I guess I would entertain a motion for adjournment. And a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Give this to